What I would just want to say, just strictly to the wrap up of everything you just heard, is like, Detroit is literally under siege. We have literally nobody in our corner fighting for us. We're tired. We are tired. We've done the work of, I mean, it's like David versus Goliath in the city, and
Sounds like three Goliaths.
well, we it's a very horrible. I've never ever in all my life living here. When people talk about the Great Migration, all I could talk about is me being a Detroit kid of the 90s and what I saw when I was a little boy. Woodward Avenue was not even developed. You had people downtown, but it wasn't popping like it was right now. It was pretty desolate to the point where, everything was shut down by 5 o'clock. And even after that, there was nothing going on unless if there was a sporting event that happened here. When I was a kid in Detroit in the 90s around Coleman Alexander Young, that was a maverick of this city, because he kept the public trust. He kept the public rule within the people, and the people had made their own destinies. We have this city. We still do. But when it's being usurped and taken over, and literally we're being sold out by the tune of pieces of silver by those that need to be, I don't know what they do in medieval times. If you're being caught, selling out the town or whatever, there has to be some public punishment or something. But something has cut the head off or the head or something like that, somewhere in that nature. But Detroit citizens deserve justice. We deserve better. I know, me living as a resident here in the city of Detroit, yes, I thought about moving out a few times. But if I make it here in Detroit, I can make it anywhere. But I would rather live and die in Detroit, because Detroit is all I know. Detroit is my heart. I will never give up or leave this city under any circumstance. You can't run me out. You can't run us out. You can't take us out. They're going to have to kill me before I give up anything of my power here in the city of Detroit as a resident here.
We have the housing crisis, and this is very important. I want to make sure we touch on this. The federal government sends tens of millions to Detroit every year. They probably send 30 million to one department and another 30-some million to another department, strictly here to Detroit. And it's all based on what King did and what King and Whitney Young did. The Fair Housing Act, Civil Rights Act, it's all stemming from that. Now, they blocking out Section 8. The list been closed for years. They would not give no housing to nobody. Everybody has to go out of Detroit in order to get housing. So not only is they attacking us from those angles, now the solution is, and it has to happen right now, it should be thousands of people at the Detroit Housing Commission building, because there's millions of dollars being allotted to them that's not going to them. It should be thousands of people at the municipal building, and it should be massive recalls being done on our city officials. You said something about racism. It is whites, but it's a great black sellout going on as well, and we cannot forget that as well. We got 7 African-American city council members, 1 Hispanic and one white, okay? So, and then you got 1 mayor. Those are the 10 major positions here, and 7 of them is African Americans. So we're not about to forget that our own people is involved in this heavy, and so we're not gonna take no responsibility out of that. Period. Yeah, I just wanted to stay.
You are super right about it. And I'll be the first and the only one to go. I'll go farther than that. Look, your neighbors are not educated. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, you have those black sellouts, including those that will side with the corporators and the elitists for their own purposes. And yet it looks like, you'll go off the recommendation of a few people that have been paid off. We've had meetings where folk actors have filled the audience, and they have been in major support. And then, and this is a problem here. The only solution that I have for people if they would love to get involved here. You know, I want to make an open call for people to come here and to help us. You know, help us think differently, help us think outside the box, help us think new strategies. Because you know, me, Joanna and I, we can say that the activist community are tired. We're very tired. We are on so many fronts. All of it is. But we can't get tired, and we haven't give up. Last night we were at the Detroit City Charter Commission meeting. They tried to cancel the meeting. They tried to move it, but people still came out. They showed up. They showed out, and they want to be included. And they are making volunteerism to be in these processions. Now, you have a certain I just made a video the other day called Sabotage Government. And sabotage government means you have a few individuals who are in official positions of power that are taking certain things and they're either twisting it or they're trying to benefit for their own agenda, and it's not in the agenda worth the people. So you're creating situations, you're creating problems, okay? It's not the citizenry, it's not us. It's them. If you knew how to lead, if you knew how to govern, if you knew how to act and professionally and with decorum and common sense, stop acting with ineptitude. Stop acting like you stupid. Stop listening to those developers and listen to us, the people, and weigh your decision based on your own common sense. And that's what I make an appeal to. You know, like I said, we're just tired. But we can't give up and we can't give in. I'm pretty sure that some of our activist community here in the city of Detroit, they will welcome you with open arms if you're willing to be an ally and to work with us, not be over us, because we've had people try to come here, try to be white saviors and we can't, you know, for my belief is when the hood stands up, everybody else will. And that's my whole prerogative to what I bring to this table. I have been to discussions. I have been to panels. I have talked solutions with big people to even my neighbors. And I've told everybody, once the community stands up, then everybody else will support and they will follow through. But we have to have clear demands. We have to have a clear agenda, okay? And we have to have research and documentation. We do that on the daily to back it up. The evidence is on our side. We have nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be wrong. And to those distractors, those haters, those people that sit there and say, oh, why are they complaining all that? You shut the hell up. Because you literally have no idea until the fade happens to your community, until it happens to your household. Then you knocking on all of our doors, encouraging us to get involved, and we don't want to. We have to stop that, because one situation is all of our situations. Just like you said, people may not be dealing with this now, but it's already came to Portland, Oregon. It's already came to Camden, New Jersey. I can't believe Cory Booker, presidential candidate, running around the country like he's done, and he's a charterizer. He's a corporate sellout, and he makes Booker T. Washington look like a racist sympathizer. I don't like people. Kamala Harris, presidential candidate, same thing.
But Cory Booker is running for president on the message of love. Oh, well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Love for whom? Love for whom? Love for whom? The elitist, or I don't know what type of love he got, but I don't want none of it. Who? Oh, well, it could be for the pharmaceutical companies, the charterizers and stuff, but he won't get too far, and neither will those that, look, this presidential election, they already talking about 2020. I'm not involved, because let me tell you something here. Donald Trump is the emergency manager of the country. We did not select him. We did not elect him. I'm serious. When I was in that recount with Jill Stein here in Michigan, the GOP paid so much money to siphon to bury the details, and eventually we will never know if Donald Trump was actually elected, because Michigan, he claimed to won Michigan. Michigan is a battleground state. We make the decisions along with Ohio and Florida. And I can tell you from my heart of hearts that Donald Trump was not elected by the people. He was not. He said Hillary Rodham Clinton got those votes, but even she was oblivious. She wouldn't know what to do, and she would probably endorse and prop up Mike Duggan, Dan Gilbert, and Rick Snyder and others. So we barely have anything. But what I would like to say, and just solutionary and just being positive, is that communities, we have to come together. We have to demand action, but we also have to talk it out. We can't be emotionally reactive. We have to be proactive to the solutions and the in the layout of how we're going to get our communities back. They're not going to give up easily. I mean, they'll keep throwing money at the problem. They'll keep putting people in place that is circumventing the will of the people. But you look at Joanna Underwood. She got 60,000 votes from people who believed in her. No money, knocked on everyone, did it the old-fashioned way. And we see people that have just got recently elected. Rashida Tlaib, she just got recently elected to U.S. Congresswoman over a man that held this community for 50 years. You don't just, John Dingell just passed away. You don't get to be in a position for 50 years and you weren't doing anything, right? Huh? If they ain't want you up there. So when she said all these ideas, but I agree with her to impeach that motherfucker, Trump. Impeach him now because he's causing destruction. This government shutdown that just happened has destroyed our country and things in it for years to come. The damage is already done, and I know one major thing. This is the art of war. I'm not going down without a fight. I ain't no punk. We ain't no punks. And we not finna get punked out by those who believe that their money speaks volumes over our voices. We the people, I believe in that. We the people will overcome, but we will also overthrow. And I said that in Washington, D.C. back in last year when I got up in front of the C-SPAN cameras and I told the whole country, we can't be like this, going after each other. That's what they want us to do. They want us to be distracted. And if we're tearing each other apart, that's not going to help. That we're accomplishing their agenda. It's time for us to all stop what we're doing, breathe, come together, do whatever it is we have to do, and then show up one army, one force, one faith. And once we do that, they're gonna cower. I mean, the walls of Jericho will break around here. I'm not building any walls. I'm breaking them. And Joanna and Ramon, other organizers and people that have dedicated their lives, their time, their sacrifice, their families to protect this city should be recognized and should be applauded. But we also applaud those out in other communities that are fighting corporate terrorism. I mean, it's very important to give recognitions to those that have been in the game, have been in the fight for, and that could teach us a thing or two of how to win in our epicenter where we're at right now.
I would just like to say is that, I appreciate this opportunity to have this interview with you and to show the city that I love, born and raised in, Detroit. I'm a diehard Detroiter. And I also want to bring to awareness to your audience is that they made big business out of keeping people poor. The nonprofit industries, it's big money now. So they will create disaster situations just so for us to so they can get money from the federal government. Look what Flint. All that was man-made. That was not a natural disaster. So they actually creating poverty in the city of Detroit. They creating these situations for us to live in poverty so they can get money. It's a big money thing. And like you said, it's not just Detroit. It's not just black people. It's everybody going to be affected by this eventually. This is going to be a virus that's spread and affect the whole entire world if we don't get a control of it. But it's easy to, disenfranchise and beat down the most weakest person, the most weakest people. And right now, the African Americans, we're strength in spirit, but our condition, our history here has made us vulnerable for these attacks throughout the years. So it's easy to do this with African Americans and other so-called communities of color, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it will affect you because guess what? It's only 1% rich people that really control the revenue and the wealth of this country. All right. So we live in a capitalist society that says that if you're not from the in crowd, you don't get the opportunities like everybody else, regardless of what your color is. So you might think that you safe in your little comfortable suburb, but one day they're going to come to you, okay? And the way they set up these urban cities, they suck all the money from the urban cities, sectors, and they put it into the suburbs. But guess what? When there's no money to suck up, then what? How you gonna survive? Okay, so what I like to say is that the solution is to believe. Solution is to have hope. The solution is to never give up to fight. The solution is to always trust and believe, and don't let them beat down your self-esteem. Don't let them beat down your confidence. They have beat down people's self-esteem in this country so bad, where we feel like we don't worth nothing unless we got $1 million in our bank account. So we got to understand our true value as far as ourselves, and we got to uplift humanity. You got to go out here and vote, and you also got to educate yourself on who you voting for, and take your family and friends to the voting polls, and also try to do fundraisers. Start your own political PACs. Start trying to, donate money. Like for me, I had $500, and I went up against $600,000. But if I would have listened to everybody that told me I would never make it, I knocked 100,000 doors, okay, for 6 months on my feet, knocking doors, because I wanted to be on this charter commission, because I wanted to be there to try to fight for my city. And so if I can do it as a single mother, I know you can do it too. And you got to believe that you can. And I know that we can. We're going to win. Detroit, we known for fighting. And we're going to fight this, and we're going to win. And we're going to win because we fighting a righteous battle here. We fighting a battle between good and evil. And what they're doing against us is evil, and that's why they're not going to prevail.